Alrighty, coach. For those who don't know, I have the head coach of Waubonsie Community College, uh, men's basketball coach. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem, no problem. To get started, coach, for you, how was your upbringing? How did you get involved in sports? Did you have a particular person that kind of put the ball in your hands, anything like
Yeah,
that?
yeah. So I had a unique upbringing. First off, I grew up in Indiana. I think if you're born in Indiana, you definitely have a love and passion for the game. So
Yeah.
if you ever go there, there's not much to do, but probably every 2 or 3 houses you see a hoop in the in the driveway or in the back. And so I was fortunate enough to have 2 older brothers that were into sports, and my dad actually swept the floor for the Pacers, so he was there, at Market Square Arena. He swept the floor when Jordan got iced out in '84, and things like that. So so he swept the floor there for 25 years, 30 years. So I always went to the NBA games, and with 2 older brothers, we used to always play competitive. And my dad actually sold a card. I don't know which card it was, and off that he was able to build a court in the backyard. So it was like 60-foot court, but you could go full court. So it's pretty cool. So kind of a hangout spot for all the kids my age. And even when I was younger, my mom was a teacher, in the school corporation. So all the high school kids would come over and play and things like that. So it's definitely kind of hangout spot, for basketball.
Okay. Did you play any other sports? Like, when did you realize, like, okay, basketball is what I really wanted to do? Because it's very special when you can continue something that's been going on in the family. So what kind of was the main factor for you is like, okay, I'm going to play ball growing up?
Yeah. So yeah, I played football, so I was actually all state in football, tight end. So yeah, I just didn't want to get in that grind in college of blocking and that wear and tear on the body. So,
Yeah.
but I love football actually, just because I felt like I didn't have pressure on me, like I did basketball to perform. So I could just kind of just enjoy the competition. But, basketball is always my first love. I think, what I love about it is you can just go and, all you need is a ball and a hoop. You don't need anyone else to help you work on your game. If you play football or another sport, baseball, you need someone to throw you the ball or, whatever. So basketball is one of those where you can just, you're kind of in charge. You can improve yourself, and, obviously you can always do countdown 3, 2, 1, hit a tough shot. So I loved basketball from the start. It's definitely my first love. And, having 2 older brothers that pushed you, and, in the back court, we'd have there were rocks around the court. So, if you ever won, you had to make sure you run in the house, or else you're going to get rocks thrown at your head. So,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty competitive.
Okay. For you, when you were actually coming up and you were playing ball, taking it, serious, who were some of your favorite players that you liked watching? Maybe that could have been in the neighborhood, in the pros, anything like that.
Yeah, I had a couple. I'm, growing up, my favorite teacher was Mrs. Fruits, and her son was the best player on varsity. And I was like 5 years old, so I'd always watch, Paul play. So he was kind of my hero off that end. And then my dad was best friends with high school coach at Ben Davis High School, so it was a Power back in the '90s in Indianapolis. So they had Damon Frierson, who was Mr. Basketball. We'd always go to the camps he put at Miami, Ohio. So I met him through the camp. He doesn't know who I am, but I kind of looked up to him as well. And then my brother was 5 years older than me, and so he had his best friend like had the most points in the game, at my high school, which is 43 points in the game. So Nick Scott was someone I looked up to as well. So it was kind of funny. I played a rec league game, and I scored like 56, so which is like the league record. So I called my brother. Like, yeah, I had 56. I think I'm on cloud 9. And he's like, well, Nick scored 43 tonight. I was like, well, I got 13 more points than him. And he's like, well, that doesn't count. This is high school. And so, I always wanted to beat that record. And I came a few times, came close. But my coach subbed me out in like 5 minutes. So it was one of those where we were up 20, 25. I wish we were up only 10 or 15. I could have kind of a couple more minutes in it to break the record, but it's all good.
Okay. Do you have a particular like favorite moment of your career, as far as, we can include coaching, playing, just overall a favorite moment of yours?
Yeah, I think that one's tough for me, just because I think, I'm fortunate enough, now coaching, you're always part of a team. In a way, you're always in that huddle. And so I don't think I'm talented enough or good enough to think about the past. I always think, my favorite championship's the next one, and so, I think I just more enjoy the memories and the friendships. And, like last week, I got invited to a wedding of a kid that I coached at Aurora, so I enjoy those moments and seeing them grow, as a coach now. I think it's just all about, helping them reach their goals. And, it's not about me and, I want to change this as a player or this or that. It's about, working hard to have them have those everlasting moments. And so, I tell them to buy in and, be all together, make memories for them. But, they, in reality, they create lasting memories for me and friendship. So we kind of get rewarded on that.
Definitely. Okay. I was reading a little bio up on you, Coach. So after playing at Danville High School, you were all state in your junior, senior year, all Metro, all conference MVP. And then you went on to, was it AU after high school?
Yep, Aurora University. Yep.
Okay, so how did that happen? How did you come to the choice to go to AU? Was it like the school, like the
Yeah.
main school
Yeah.
that wanted you, or how did that play out?
Yeah. So it was a unique situation. So in Indiana had a lot of NAIA schools or D2 schools that were after me, or obviously some Division threes as well. And so, it was April after my senior year, right around this time, and the track coach said, "Hey, where are you going?" And I mentioned like Marion and Indianapolis. I was like, "That's probably my top choice." He's like, "What would you consider Aurora University?" And I'm like, "Sure." I'm like, "I don't know where that's at, but sure." So he's like, "Okay, if it's all right if I." His brother is still the softball coach at Aurora, Coach McKenzie, a legend over there. And so he gave my number to his brother, Coach McKenzie. Then he gave that to Coach Lancaster. And so, I go home later that night. And my mom's like, "Yeah, I think you should go to Aurora University." I'm like, "Mom, what are you talking about?" And she talked to Coach Lancaster for an hour on the phone, and then we went up there and visited the next week. And honestly, I just want to go somewhere different. I want to go somewhere different than where I knew people at. And I think it just kind of worked that way. And it's all about timing, and obviously it's the best decision I've ever made.
How far was it from home?
It's about 3 hours,
Oh, okay.
away
So
from
it
home.
wasn't too
So
bad.
no, it wasn't too. It's one of those where you're away, but you could always get home if you needed to.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. For you, Coach, not to get too personal, but whatever you're willing to share. What was kind of something that you kind of went through that you had to overcome that kind of made you the person you are today?
Yeah, I think it's just one of those. You know, I think anything in life, you're always gonna be doubted or counted out or, this or that. And I always think there's situations in life that you can't control. And I think there's been a couple personal ones, that I didn't have any control over. But just, they always say life's 10% what happens to you, 90%, how you respond. And on some of those I made mistakes, in the moment I didn't, kind of grow the right way. But I think over time I've kind of learned. And honestly, just appreciate every moment. It doesn't matter, where it's at. I think big thing is, make the big time where you're at. And so, like watching Coach Self the other day win a national championship. It's like, he puts time in his craft, but I strive to where I put as much time as he does. He's just on a different stage, and I'd have to say at a bigger university. But the preparation and the love and for the kids and the relationships are the same. So, got to make the big time where you're at.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Coaching. How did you get involved with coaching after, the ball stopped for you? Was that something that you had in your plans all along, or was that something that kind of like just fell into your lap and you kind of just ran with it?
Yeah. I think if you love playing, you don't ever think about, hey, the ball's on stop or,
Yeah.
this or that. I think it was just a natural, I had maybe a couple opportunities to go overseas, but it's like, I'm one of those where I'm not going to just go play somewhere just to play somewhere and just say I did something. I think my heart has to be into it. And I was just presented an opportunity to, stay at Aurora and be the graduate assistant, where Coach Lancaster created that position for me. And, I think just naturally happened, that type of thing. And so, I don't think I ever thought about being a coach. I think it was kind of a natural thing to happen. And, I still don't think I do any work. I probably haven't worked a day in my life just because I think basketball, and working with people is just, what you're supposed to do.
Absolutely. At AU, you became the head coach, and then you guys went to a few like NCAA Division III tournaments. How was that whole experience when you finally got the head coaching position, and what were kind of some of the biggest highs and lows that you went through at that time?
Yeah, and so that was awesome. They kind of they always say you should never take the job after the person they named the court after. So I don't think I'm that smart because I replaced Coach Lancaster. Had 404 wins. Then obviously now at Wabanzi, replaced Coach Heiss, who had 644. So definitely had a lot of pressure, going into both situations. But at Aurora, playing there, being an assistant coach for 6 years, and then Coach Lancaster doing a great job grooming me and putting me in that position. I think everything was the same. It's just a different role you're in, and so it's just now I was just kind of the driver of the bus, more so to speak, and so but just learning from him how to handle situations, how to handle people. I learned a lot from him, in this tutelage. So, stepping over, I wouldn't say it was, you're always going to go through stuff. You always got to experience things, to get better at it. But I don't think it was a hard transition. I think it was just more of a, in a way I am him in a way, just taking over and, and being the head coach.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was big. And then I also want to say congrats for the past season you guys just had.
Yeah.
Definitely tremendous. I commend you because that was, fantastic on what you guys did. When you made the transition to Wabanzi, how was that? Was that an easy transition for you? And how was, the season overall for you that you get from?
Yeah, I think the hard transition was just those first 3 weeks on the job. So I took over in August, and we only had 2 players on the roster in my first year there in 2019. So I was able to, get some student athletes to buy in and believe in me that late in the recruiting process. And my first year, we won 19 games. And thinking back, that was probably my worst winning percentage of any year of the 5 full years I've been a head coach. That was probably my best coaching job, just because it was kind of like a microwave incident where you just kind of had to put everything together and let it kind of heat up. And so, we won 19 games, but I think it laid the foundation. We were the only team to beat Milwaukee Area Tech that year. That was number one in the country. They're 32-1. They probably would have won it all if they didn't have the COVID postseason there. So that laid the foundation. Then last year, we know Illinois is pretty strict with everything. So we only had 6 scrimmage games, went 5-1, but kind of got our core guys, coming into this year. And then this year was unique too. We were 20-8, we were 1 possession away from, going to the national tournament. We lost to the team that won it all. And we're the only team that played them in single digits. But, we went, a lot of people don't know this. We went, 43 days without a game, so our last game was early December. And then our first game back was January 11th. So, 5-6 weeks, we only had 5 practices during that time. And so it's definitely very hard, and a lot of them got COVID, and I think, I always view, that means they're hanging out together, which is a good thing. So, just the way it was, everyone, luckily was healthy and was ready to come back once they kind of got through everything. And so, so we really didn't start getting going until February, and I think the hardest part for me this year was, I think we truly never reached our peak just because in a way we kind of ran out of time. And so I think if we had 1 more week or 2 more weeks, we would even got better. And so I think that's the hardest thing for me as a coach, is just like, dang, in a way we're getting there. I think we're about 90%, but we still had another 10% in us.
Definitely. For you, what was kind of the biggest thing for you as becoming a coach that you wanted to kind of display to your players? Like, how do you gain a player's trust? What do you look for in a player and things of that nature? Like, how do you gain a player's trust to basically, come play for you, and to how you want to impact their lives?
Yeah. And so I think, my main thing is I want to create a style that, kids like to play in. So we like to get up and down, and we like to shoot. My 2 goals every year is we want to average 100, and we want to get to nationals. It's crazy society now. You play a game, the first question they ask you is how many points you score. Yeah. And then the second question is, did you win or not? So that's just the way it is. But, I can keep more kids happy scoring 100 rather than 75, and so, we always want to create that tempo. I feel like I always want to coach you out of respect rather than fear. I think, gone are the days of, the drill sergeants, Bobby Knights of the world, so you got to have open dialogue, and you got to create that, conversation and trust and loyalty, with each other. And But I truly believe you can't win a championship unless there's trust and loyalty from the head coach, down to each player, and so, it's my job to earn that of, getting to know them off the court. I think, basketball is something we do. It's not who we are. We all love to win, but it's only 2 or 3 hours a day. You got 21 other hours in the day. And, I try to get to know them, make sure they're staying on track academically, make sure everything in their personal life is going good. And so I feel like, to get to know them off the court is the most important thing to build that trust. And then, basketball wise, trust is naturally not come through decisions and things like that. And so, coaching's tough. I think it's one of the harder positions. And I don't know, in life, I feel like you got crowd who always thinks they can coach, or I'm sure people were criticizing Coach K the other day on his decision making. So,
Yeah.
we always say it's like, basketball is like church. Many attend, few understand. And so, but as long as those guys believe in me and trust me, then good things are going to happen. But trust and loyalty, I think, are the number one things on a championship team.
Absolutely. And then my last question I have for you, Coach, is if you could have 5 dinner guests, dead or alive, anybody that you would sit down and talk about whatever with, who would be your 5 dinner guests along with you?
Yeah. I'll answer that 2 ways. I would say I'd probably want my mom and dad, and then my fiance and my 2 brothers. I think that would be an easy one. Kind of non-family. I'd probably want LeBron, MJ, and Kobe, and then I'd probably want Obama and Martin Luther King.
Wow, that's a powerful table.
Yeah, so I think it'd be pretty good dialogue, and I think Martin Luther King, I think person that I always strive to be like, and then Obama was up there as well, and then that's kind of the 3 goats, in basketball. If I had to go 5 basketball guys, I'd probably have those 3, then Magic and Larry.
Okay. Man, Coach, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out your busy schedule to come on my platform to tell your story. I just hope that this interview kind of helps somebody that may be going through similar situations as far as trying to become a coach and stuff like that. So I just want to say thank you a lot. Good luck this next upcoming season.
Yeah,
definitely be at a few games. And I don't know if you have anything to tell the people.
I love your background there with the 2 Kobe jerseys and Nipsey. So I always love one of his quotes. Never let a hard time humble you. And then it's always a marathon. And so I think we use that a lot. My players, I use the quote a lot. Just say, you're gonna go through tough times, this or that, but don't let that affect your confidence. And so, I tell my guys all the time, hey, if you're a shooter, you're a scorer. Hey, you shoot 50% from the field, you miss your first 5. I tell you, shoot your next 5. Percentage is gonna play out. So you can never let a situation or a moment, scare you from who you really are. So never let a hard time humble you. And then it's always a marathon. There's some good days, bad days, good possessions, bad possessions, but you gotta keep moving forward and progressing. And at the end of the day, I think he left a legacy, and I think that's big for me. Is always leave a legacy wherever you're at, whether you're the star player, head coach, role player, whatever, you're going to be remembered on how you treat people, and people know, with Instagram, all this, you can fake it, but the people that you're with, you can't lie, your teammates know who you are, what you're about.
Definitely. Coach, again, thank you.
Yeah.
This upcoming season. I hope to talk to you soon, and take care, Coach.
Yep, anytime. I gotta get you some gear too. So
definitely. That's what I like to hear. All right.
All right. If you can still hoop, come play some open gym.
Okay, let me know. All right, Coach.
All right.
Have a good one.
Appreciate you.